Okay, so yesterday we're learning the Dvar Malchut. This is a speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1991. And in this speech, the Rebbe is talking about a topic which is very relevant to this week's Torah portion, but even more especially the time that we're in. This is the Shabbat right before Tisha B'Av. Well, I'm sorry. This is the Shabbat right after Tisha B'Av. Shabbat right after Tisha B'Av. That's when this was said. Okay, as we know, Tisha B'Av is the time when the first and the second temples were destroyed, and the Jewish people were put into exile. Exile means a unnatural state which has to be ended. And exile means that you're just driven from your home, but you're far away from your home exists, and you exist, but you're separated from it. That's what exile is. So in this time, it's been much more than just being separated from our home. There's been terrible tragedies that have occurred to the Jewish people. Terrible, terrible tragedies. And tremendous suffering and murder and destruction and Holocaust and pogroms. And, the whole Jewish history is just rife with these tortures. And for a long time, and the church has, been the cause of, 800 years, whatever years, up just until about 100 years ago, they stopped. Maybe even not then, right? Maybe even not then. I mean, basically all the pogroms that were in Russia were from the church. That was before Stalin. And after Stalin, he had a different reason for hating the Jews. But the Jews they were always pursued and hated and suspected, and they were always the scapegoat and etc. Okay, so that's exile, the exile. But says the Rebbe, the worst part of the exile is that these two opposites. On one hand, the Jewish people are separated from their home and from their identity and from their true essence. And on the other hand, they don't leave it. They can't leave it. They always remember that they're Jews. You remind them that they're Jews, and that they always come back to being Jews. Right? Perhaps the most successful attempt at fleeing from Judaism, and you can't blame these people. I mean, there's thousands of years of oppression and running around. So came along the Zionists with this brilliant idea that we won't leave Judaism, we'll redefine Judaism. And that also didn't work. It's coming back now that the Jews, after all, now they have two reasons to hate the Jews, because they're Jews and because they're Zionists. So somehow or other, this thing of Judaism is so incredibly good that the Jews, despite all the Holocaust and everything, they can't leave it. Even the Jews that changed their religions and there was big composers, famous, but they're still always reminded the fact that I used to be a Jew, but I changed my religion. My mother was a Jew, but forget the whole thing. They can't forget it. It's somehow or other ingrained that it's such an intensely good thing that that everyone is jealous of it, or the evil people just want to destroy it. But I can't, get rid of it. It was like, I remember in school, there was somebody that people didn't like, so they put a sign on the back of me, kick me or hit me. Nobody could figure out why. And there you could get rid of the sign. Here you can't get rid of it. And you can't get rid of it because it's so good. Says the Rebbe, this good is going to be revealed. This good is going to be revealed. As soon as the Jewish people start to turn to face this good instead of trying to run away from it, or deny it, or change it, or distort it, then everything is going to be different. And the Rebbe is basically going to say, we'll see, he's going to say that that's already happened. The Jews already turned toward their Judaism, and everything's been fixed up. It's just totally not understandable why there's this suffering. That's the Rebbe is going to say, we'll see. That's the idea of Moshiach, to wake up all the Jews. That's the main thing of Moshiach is He's going to wake up all the Jews to the holiness of the Torah and to the Jewish identity. Right? That's one of the main reasons why saying that, that the Yashkala, he wasn't Mashiach, because he did exactly the opposite. He scattered the Jews. That the Rambam says. Scattered the Jews, tried to tried to confuse Jewish identity, destroy Jewish identity. So Jewish identity, that's what we're talking about. It says when Jewish identity is revealed, then there's a tremendous happiness. And that's what it means, Nachamu. That's this week's Torah portion. The Haftorah. Nachamu means doubled. And it doesn't mean just doubled one time. It means doubled. Right? How much do you want? Twice as much. Okay, instead of giving you $1, I'll give you $2. Okay, that's beginning. I said twice as much. Twice as much as one. No, I didn't say twice as much as one. I want twice as much. Doubled. Whatever you give me, I want it doubled. It says that's what means that God is going to comfort us. Nachmu, doubled comfort. What do you mean doubled? Not just 2 times. We'll have a double comfort for all of our, an infinite, doubled and redoubled and redoubled. I think maybe we got up to here. I don't remember. Oh, it says, ostensibly it's talking about Nachmu. Nachmu means comfort on the first destruction of the first temple, and Nachmu and being comforted for the second temple, both temples. Says the Rebbe, not exactly. According to this, it means the cave, and since that the 2 ways of comforting for the first temple and the second temple, this is hinted at Nachamu, 2 times comfort. Says the Rebbe that therefore it's hinted at a doubled and redoubled, infinite, bli gvul, lamitato, true unlimitedness. Right? Just think about it. I mean, you start doubling a number, you take number 1, and it's not too long. I think after like 30, 40 numbers, you get into the millions, and then you get into the billions, and then it starts getting into the trillions, and then it starts getting to quadrillions, and you get higher and higher, but it's never enough. You're always going to double and redouble. Right? In mathematics, the number infinity is, it doesn't just mean infinity, just means, that's it. Leave it alone. Infinity means that there's no end to it. Right? Double infinity. Can you make a triple infinity? Can you make a quadruple infinity? We talked about this before, but I just want to say it shortly again. That yes, you can say that there's double infinity and triple infinity, where it says, like, for instance, if you take in geometry, you take a line. So according to geometry, there's an infinite number of points in a line, because a point has no dimensions. It has no length and no width. And a line has 1 dimension, it's long. So therefore, you can take a line and cross it, you can cut it into infinite. Each one of those places where you cut it, it's a point. There's a point where one line meets the other, right? You have one line like this, one line like this. So a line has no height to it. It has only 1 dimension. So you can divide it. So that's called a point. So theoretically, a line doesn't make any difference how long the line is. It has an infinite number of points. And if you make that line twice as long, then it has 2 times infinity, right? And what if you take that line and you make it into a plane? Now you've added another dimension, height. So how many lines go into a plane? How many lines can go into a plane? A line has no height to it. How many lines go into a plane? An infinite number of lines in a plane. So, and how many points go into a plane? So there's an infinite number of points in a line, and there's an infinite number of lines in a plane. So it's like 2 times infinite points in a plane, right? And if you made that plane twice as big, so it's 2 times 2. And what about a cube? A cube is not just a plane, it has a 3rd dimension to it. It has depth to it. So that is an infinite number of planes in it, because you can take a cube and slice it an infinite number of times, because a plane has no depth to it. So you can take, so if so, there's an infinite number of planes in a cube and an infinite number of lines in a plane, an infinite number of points in a line. So how many points are there in a cube? So it's like 3 times infinite. What if you make the cube twice as big? So it's 2 times 2 times 2. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about an infinite comfort. God is going to comfort us infinitely. Doubled, nachmu means doubled and redoubled and redoubled. Now this, of course, makes no sense whatsoever, but it's true. You can see it even in geometry. Geometry, it's a fact. There's an infinite number of points. So infinity is even a geometrical term. And don't think I really, have any real talent in mathematics, but that's the fact. Just a simple, fact of business. So that's just talking about in the realm of mathematics, infinite. What about in the realm of reality, infinite? Infinite. So it says, for instance, the pleasures that are to be gotten in heaven are infinitely greater than the pleasures in all the pleasures in this world. And that's only the lower heaven. The upper heaven is infinitely more than the lower heaven. So that's only part of the creation. Here we're talking about the Creator is going to give us an infinite pleasure, explanation, comfort, whatever. This makes absolutely no sense, but the whole creation makes no sense. That's why it says that when the Moshiach comes and there'll be revealed godliness, that will long for the exile. Why? Because when Moshiach comes and reveals everything, then it'll be so obvious that you serve God. So to speak, we won't get any reward for it. We won't get any reward. We won't have to try as hard. And the main thing of Judaism is not the rewards that you get. The main thing of Judaism is to serve God. And to serve God in difficulties, that's a bigger accomplishment than serve God when it's easy. When Mashiach comes, it's going to be easy. It says, therefore, we're going to long for the days of exile. Does that make any sense? The whole business doesn't make any sense, but life makes no sense. And that's what the essence of life is now, right now, this moment. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. We're talking now is higher than the raising of the dead. Now is higher. It says, doing a good deed in this world is higher than all the worlds. ומצד ההדר ההגבלה יש בו השלמות דכל האופנים אפשריים, because it's infinite, so there's no limit to the goodness that can be revealed. Sorry. Second. מצד העליון ומצד התחתון, both from God's point of view and from our point of view, because both of them together. So this, we're saying that the infinite oneness of God, which even the angels can't comprehend, they're all burning up, that will be revealed here in a permanent way. Which is a thing which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, because it's above understanding. Listen, I mean, if you think about it, pleasure is above understanding. Pleasure is above understanding. People get pleasure from something. They do crazy things in order to repeat this pleasure. They'll do anything. Even the most low base pleasures there are in the world, right? Big professors and geniuses, not nice to say big rabbis, but here you have Yerovam ben Nevat, greatest rabbi that ever lived. He knew all the secrets of the Torah, but because he wanted to rule, his rulership, so he caused this in the first temple, caused all the Jewish people, 10 tribes, to worship golden calves. He knew it was wrong, but he got pleasure from being a ruler. Pleasure drives a person crazy. There's always these scandals that they have and these blackmails that they catch some big, priest or some big, important person that's supposed to be, the representative of mankind, and they catch him doing some sort of a animalistic thing. And they take pictures of him, so the question is, he feels very embarrassed. But if he wouldn't have been caught, he would do it again. He had a good time doing it, right? And he knows it's wrong, and he tells other people that it's wrong. and he preaches and he gives, and he's a judge and he's a lawyer and he's a whatever it is, and he knows that what he's doing is wrong, accepting bribes or whatever it is. He knows that it's wrong, and he tells other people it's wrong, and he puts people in jail because they do the same, and he does it because pleasure makes a person crazy. It's above understanding. That's low pleasures. That's disgusting pleasures. What about true pleasure? That's essentially the reason why Jews are willing to give their lives rather than to worship idols. That's in the Inquisition and through the pogroms. Jews were usually Hitler. This is what somebody told me. I've never checked. I'm not a history expert, but Hitler was the only one that didn't give the Jews a choice. Before the Muslims or Muhammad went and beheaded all these Jews, he gave them a choice to leave the religion or not. The church, they gave the Jews a choice. In the pogroms, if the Jews would change the religion, they would let them go. The Jews were given a choice. The only one that didn't was Hitler. Even a person that his father, he made up his own definition what a Jew is. And he made a little tiny, right? His great grandfather was a Jew. And there was no choice. But except for that, there was always a choice. People always had a choice. And Jews chose Judaism. They chose to be burned at the stake. They wanted to get burned at the stake. He says, no, but the pleasure of doing what's true is such an intense pleasure. It's more pleasurable than anything that can possibly be in the world. Anything in the world. And the Christians, they were promising you're going to go to heaven. Their whole religion is going to heaven. So the Jews could say, listen, maybe these guys are right. Why should I suffer in this world? Maybe I'll go to the heaven that they've got. No, suddenly he realized what the truth is. And the truth is, I don't care about heaven. I don't care about heaven. I don't care about hell. I don't care about anything. I care about the truth. And that's a tremendous pleasure. It's like the pleasure of being honest. This is the lack of the mitzvah because of the Elyon, because of Tachton. An infinite comfort from both. That's nachamu. That's what we're being promised is going to happen. When's it going to happen? I don't know it. Like it says, we're going to long for the exile. What does it mean we'll long for the exile? I can't understand why anyone would want to long. But that's terrible what's going on. What's going on in the world? It's awful. But on the other hand, you see that true Judaism is coming out. You see that the Jews, when they talk about Judaism, there's a little sparkle in their eyes, even non-religious Jews. There's something in their eyes. You see, it's really quite incredible. I'm telling you, I go to this public place every day since the war started, and like a half an hour, I put tefillin on people. And you see non-religious people, they don't know how to put on tefillin. And you see things that they say about Judaism, about non-religious people, Ashkenazic Jews, the Jews that are cold to Judaism, opposite. You see things that are sometimes, I cry, there's sometimes tears come to my eyes. You see the genuineness that these people have. I think, wow, this is called making people do tshuva, right? The kiruv rechokim. Suddenly, making the faraway people come close. Right? Suddenly I realize how far away I am from Hashem, right? If I would have the genuineness that it's just incredible. You see it waking up in Jews, it's just, you see a flash of truth you can never see anywhere else, right? Incredible. Alpis, according to this, now we can explain the connection between Nachmu and Parshat Et Hanan. What did we say before? We asked the question. Nachmu, God means it's going to comfort us. He's going to comfort. Et Hanan means that Moses is saying, I begged God to let me into the land of Israel. I begged. Et Hanan. That's the word Et Hanan. And I begged. What does it mean? I begged God to let me in Israel, and he didn't let me in. So Nachmu seems to be the opposite. Nachmu means that God will, yes, comfort us. He'll bring all the Jews to Israel. He'll build the third temple. And Et Hanan seems to be the opposite message, that God tortured Moses. He didn't comfort him at all. He refused to let him come into the land of Israel. Moses prayed 515 prayers, and he didn't get into the land of Israel. He was not comforted. And here's a double comforted. Says the Rebbe, I'm going to show you that they're both the same thing. You ready? Minyanim One of the main things of Parshat Et Hanan is the double, the Asarat Devorot. Et Hanan, this week's Torah portion, it has in it Shema Yisrael, but it also Moses repeats to the Jewish people the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments already were said in the book of Exodus, right? Near the beginning of the book of Exodus. Parshat Yitro. Chazru, nevertheless, they repeated again in this week's Torah portion, Et Hanan. All the details of the Ten Commandments, including the whole rest of the Torah, it says. And Kefel Shava, that's the book of why it's called Deuteronomy, because du means to twice. It's the repetition of the Torah, doubled. That's Et Hanan in this week's Torah portion. True, it starts off with a bad thing. Then Moses begged God to let him into Israel, and he didn't let him in. But it has a couple of really good things. Shema Yisrael, that's what we're learning in the first mimer. And also a repetition of the Ten Commandments. A double, like Nachamu Nachamu, a double repetition, a kefel of the Ten Commandments. Even though that it was said in Yitro, Parshat Yitro, in the book of Exodus, Chazru v'nichvel was repeated and doubled in Et Hanan. All the details of the Ten Commandments, right? Doubled. What's the explanation? One of the big differences between the Ten Commandments in Yitro and the Ten Commandments which are in Et Hanan, for instance, Derek v'dugmat, there's the difference between the first tablets and the second tablets. There's one explanation that says that the first Ten Commandments, that's on the first tablets, and the second is because there's certain differences. You'll see there's certain differences. Okay, but the Rebbe is saying it's something like the first tablets and the second tablets. The Jewish people, and the first tablets, the Jewish people, they were like tzaddikim. The Jewish people, they got out of Egypt. In Egypt, they had suffering. They didn't do any sins over there in Egypt. And any sins that they did were easily explained. I mean, they were under duress. The Jewish people were all slaves, right? And they got out of Egypt and they came to Mount Sinai and God revealed himself. Up to that time, they were all big tzaddikim, holy people, the Jews. That's the first tablets. The second tablets, this is the Jewish people, they were like Bali Tshuva. They were like, how do you say, penitents. That's a good word. Bali Tshuva. This is after they worshiped the golden calf. Why did they have to get two tablets? Says they received the first tablets, and Moses didn't give them to the Jewish people, the first tablets. He came down from Mount Sinai, and they were worshiping the golden calf, so Moses broke them. And then he went up on Mount Sinai again, 40 days, to get forgiveness, and then he went again another 40 days, and he received the second tablets as a sign that God forgave the Jewish people, and that the Jewish people changed their attitude. They changed their attitude. So the Jewish people in the first, they were like tzaddikim. They had done no sins whatsoever. And the second tablets that they received was after they had sinned with the golden calf, and they repented. They were Bali Tshuva. Shari Asarat Divorot, the first Torah, the Ten Commandments in our Torah portion that we're reading, that's the second time God talked about them. They came as a tochacha of Moses to the Jewish people. The whole book of Deuteronomy is Moses reproving the Jewish people, reminding them of the terrible mistakes that they made, and etc. So the Ten Commandments, this is coming to tell the Jews that God had to give you another 10 commandments because you worship the golden calf. Not to say that this week's Torah portion is the second 10 commandments, but it's reminding them. The Tochen Inyan Tshuva, that's the whole Inyan of repentance, returning to God. This is attached to the second temple, the second tablets. Upasigna are a little bit different. The 10 commandments in Yitro, the main thing is coming from God, and the 10 commandments in this week's Torah portion, the repetition of them, that mainly comes from us. But since in Parshat Et Hanan was not mentioned at all, the breaking of the tablet, this week's Torah portion, it doesn't mention at all that Moses broke the tablets. The inyan of that Shvirat Aluchot, it doesn't mention that Moses broke the first tablets and giving the second tablets. Ki'im b'parshat Ekev. Later on, next week, it'll talk about how Moses broke the tablets. But this week's Torah portion, it doesn't talk about breaking the tablets. Even according to the order of things, it should have been that, if you want to say chronological order, Moses broke the tablets and then he gave the second tablets. But this week's Torah portion talks about or gives the message of the second tablets, and it doesn't talk about breaking them. That's chronologically the wrong order. It should have been that, first of all, in this week's Torah portion, he talks about breaking the tablets, and then afterwards talk about the message of the second tablets, but it doesn't. The message of the second tablets is spoken about here, and the breaking of the tablets, that's spoken about next week. So we can say that that's what it means, that Moses doubled over the 10 commandments in this week's Torah portion. The main thing is not to show that this is a fixing up of a sin, is to show doubled, the doubled and the redoubled of the Torah. So again, the Rebbe wants to stress this idea that double doesn't mean two. Double means infinite. Doubled and redoubled and redoubled and redoubled. So therefore, in our Torah portion, where it talks about the second tablets, it's not talking about the second tablets. It's talking about the doubled efforts of God to give them the Torah. So the second Torah is a double and redoubled energy. Second tablets. Mazui, this is the connection of Parshat Et Hanan to the doubling of the redemption that's going to be in any second now by means of Moshiach. That's the whole idea of Nachmu Nachmu, a doubled comforting. He even says that the Beligavul, the infiniteness of the Torah, truly is only going to be revealed by Mashiach. Torah Chadasha Me'iti Teitze. When Mashiach comes, we'll feel the infinite godliness in every word of the Torah, and every commandment that we do, and every word of the rabbis, and every word of the Talmud. We'll feel infinite godliness. Infinite, doubled and redoubled and redoubled. So the Rebbe is trying to explain to us that we are not what we think we are. We are not limited creations. We are infinite creations. God wants to reveal his infinity in this world. This is something that is so intensely good that it's going to make all the pleasures of going to heaven like peanuts, like the cartoon before the main feature. The main feature is right now, what we're doing right now, every second. And that'll be revealed in the raising of the dead. Infinite times infinite. In more detail, in the future, there'll be both qualities of the first tablets and the second tablets. The first tablets are what? From God. Everyone saw it just came from God. God, free gift. God gave. The second tablet shows on what we did. Mitzad Tachton. And both of them together, unified together, we can say that this is hinted at also in Torah Chadasha Meititese. That's what it means. It's going to be a new Torah that's going to come from God. It's not just going to be from above from God, and it's not just going to be from below from us, like the first and the second tablets. The Torah is going to come from the essence of God. Me'akodesh Baruch Hu Atzmo, from the essence of God will come the Torah. Teitze, it will come out. It'll come out from the heavens. It will come below in this physical world. And we'll be able, our minds will be different. Our minds will be able to understand. Ella, she'en kan hischalkus the ofanim shonim b'Torah. There won't be any different ways of Torah, the upper, the lower. Ki im shemetzad heder hagbala yeshnu shlemus b'kol ofanim v'efshariot. And because there won't be any limitations, so therefore God will be revealed, the Torah will be revealed, the essence of God will be revealed as it is in the upper worlds, just like it is here. So that's the message of Judaism. That's the message of the Torah, That's why in the Torah, it doesn't talk about heaven. In the 5 books of Moses, it doesn't talk about going to heaven. Not because it doesn't exist, because it's not important. What's really important is this physical world. That's what's really important. It's like you go to medical school and they talk about how much money you're going to get, right? And how you can get more money. That's not the medical school. Medical school is talking about health. That's the most important thing. You get a good wage. That's a nice thing. You get a good wage, 100% sure. But that's not what it's taught in university, right? I don't know what they teach in university nowadays, but I mean, ideally, if they teach medicine in university, it's in order to heal people. The main thing is life, healing. That's the main thing. The same thing, the Torah. The main thing of the Torah is to reveal God in this world. This world. That's true life here. Going to heaven, that's just rewards. It's like the pay, your paycheck. Who cares about that? The main thing is reality. Says that, and that's what's going to be revealed. That's the Nachman. That's the double comfort. That's the double Torah, so to speak. Yesh Lomar, we can say that in this way will be also a tremendous unity, yichud nifla. When a Jew learns the Torah now, it says it's an amazing, miraculous unity. Shaseichel, that our human mind, tofes et muskal, grasps God's thoughts, and it's encompassed in our mind. That's the 6th chapter of the Tanya. No, I'm sorry, the 5th chapter of the Tanya. 5th chapter of the Tanya. V'gam aseichel malubash b'muskal says when we learn the Torah that we grasp God's mind in our mind, and God's mind grasps our mind. It's like we're hugging God and God is hugging us. When you learn Torah, when it's going to be in the new Torah, it's going to come in the days of the Moshiach. In other words, the true essence, godliness of the Torah will be revealed in every word of the Torah. Then there won't be two ways of looking at the Torah from God's point of view and from our point of view. From above to below. Like it says, Tan lashoni imotecha, my tongue will speak your words, that a person answers after God. We answer God. That's learning the Torah is answering after God. That's now. And also from below to above. Anyone who learns Torah, it says that God sits and learns Torah opposite him. These are two sayings of the rabbis about learning Torah. That when we learn the Torah, we're just repeating after God. And when we learn Torah, God repeats after us. But it means two different times that God read after us. No, the future Torah will be in a way of unlimited. What this means, I have absolutely no idea. But it means that it's going to be totally unlimited. Mitzad Heder Hagbala, because there won't be any limitation in the world. In other words, we will be doing what God wants, but it, so to speak, won't be because God wants it. It'll be, that's our identity. It'll be one unity with the Creator. How this is going to be, it's totally incomprehensible. But I mean, that's the fact right now. All there is God. There is God. And where is that revealed? Only in the Torah. It's something like when Jews went to the temple. When they went to the temple, so that says they came back, they were happy. Why they were happy? Because they realized every single instant it's a novelty. Everything is being created right now by God. So it's a total unity. It's a total unity. How that is, that's happiness. When a person feels free from all negativity, from all selfishness, then a person is free to really do what he's supposed to do, right? You see sometimes, I mean, I don't know if this is a good example, but I think it is. For a while, I was watching pianists. There's a few of them that I really love, and especially playing like Chopin and things like that. Maybe it's the Yates of World, but anyway, that's what I was watching. You see some of these pianists and the repertoire that they have, they know like 500 pieces by heart. And they can sit down and they can just play, and the fingers move at amazing speeds and coordination that they have. And through all that whole business, they express, they express beauty and harmony. It's just incredible, you know. But the main thing is that when they're playing, so to speak, they aren't there. There's no them. There's just the music, and the fingers sort of move automatically with the music. And you know, when you're learning to play a thing like that, I mean, I took piano lessons when I was like, 12 years old or something. I was terrible, you know. But when you're learning to play, so you play very slowly, and you have to look, this the note, is this the right note? Right? Is that the da 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 da? No, that's wrong. Right? But these people, it just flows automatically. The beauty of the music. Now, how exactly it works, neurologically, I have no idea. But the fact is, you see that they play at tremendous speed, and that they change, and that there's the nuances, and there's coordination. All the fingers are moving, so tremendously fast. It's it really makes, no sense. Well, it's something like that. It's going to be in the future. It's natural. It's automatic. It's like automatic unity that the person, so to speak, is not even there. But when he finishes, everybody claps. It was he did it. The person, he, she, whatever did it. The thing. So it's going to be that way, but with the whole Torah. The Torah, I mean, because the music that these people are playing, it makes sense. It's harmonious. There's something, there's a plan to it. So that draws them. They don't have to force themselves. It draws the same thing. The godliness of the Torah will draw us, but the Torah is given by the same God who's creating us. So it will be an automatic unity that there's no unity like that found anywhere in the physical world. That's what it says in the 5th chapter of the Tanya. And we'll talk about more, not tomorrow. Tomorrow there will not be a class. It'll be Tisha B'Av tomorrow. So we won't have a class. But the day after. Okay, let's stop the share.